Good morning and welcome back to the podcast, Evil Dungeon Master Universe Podcast. I'm your host, Evil Dungeon Master Vince, and hopefully you're having a great Wednesday. The Wednesday before a holiday here in the States. 4th of July is tomorrow, and there'll be no podcast tomorrow because I'll be out of state, out of whatever. I won't be here to do a podcast. Won't have my equipment with me. But anyway, hopefully you'll have a great 4th of July. Happy birthday to America celebrating independence. So it should be a fun day. Hopefully nobody gets hurt and everybody enjoys fireworks in a safe manner. I don't care if you want to do your own fireworks or not. Just be safe about doing it. That's all that matters to me. With that said, head over to theevildm.com and you too can contact with me and have conversations via email or via facebook.com/evilDungeonMaster, or hit me up on Twitter at theevildm or ask theevildm at theevildm.com. I was having a conversation on Facebook with one of my listeners named Tom, and he was asking me about GURPS, my thoughts on GURPS. I've never covered it on my channel. I've never really even talked about it, to be honest. And he wanted to know my thoughts on the game. Is a GURPS player, and he swears by it being one of the best systems out there for just about any type of game you want to play at any point in your life. Well, I mean, all right, Tom, let's talk about GURPS. Now, the only GURPS that I've ever played is 3rd edition GURPS. I still have the core book from, from 1990? Let me look that up real quick. GURPS 3rd edition, year published. Let's see, revised is 94. Well, my book doesn't say revised. Mine says 3rd edition, so 1988. So 1988. So I must have picked it up, whatever, a used store or something. I don't no idea. This is the only one I have, the only one we ever used, and I've used it once. We were gonna play GURPS when we were in between playing other various games, because we played a lot of games, and sometimes I would go searching out people, go to the comic book store and look at the little board in the back, and sometimes find a group of players that played different games, because I was always looking for a game. Back then, 1988, I was basically just a kid, or I should say, not a kid, teenager. So I was looking for, games to play. Why not? Couldn't play Dungeons and Dragons though, but I could play GURPS. So looking for games was easy to do, and as long as I wasn't playing D&D, my parents did not care. So I would go to the comic book store or the gaming store, because we had a bunch of gaming stores on Long Island. One in particular was Waterloo 2, but that was more of a war gaming store for war gamers, but it had role playing games in it, and it had a very big cockboard in the back that had people looking for groups. So I remember finding a group that was playing Dungeons and Dragons, but they didn't call it Dungeons and Dragons. They actually were playing GURPS. I think it was Dungeons and GURPS or something. I don't remember what the guy called it, but it was basically just playing D&D, just using GURPS rules. I remember I asked my parents to get me a book, and they had this one, and I still have it. It's still in pretty decent condition because I barely even used it. So we made our characters up, and we played one session or so, or one game or so, and I was just like, at the time. It's a 3d6 system, and rolling under the target number is, I believe, how it works. Now, over the years, I've seen that the Steve Jackson Games has put out various books for GURPS for just about anything you can think of, along with other games that you would not think, like Vampire or Traveler. And I've seen a bunch of other games, and I'm just like, oh, well, okay, cool. And I remember often when I would bring up GURPS in conversations, people would be like, GURPS. GURPS sucks. So it never came on my radar again until I saw a deal on the 4th edition books when 4th edition came back out. I did pick up those books because I was interested in what they were doing, because I heard the new GURPS, well, at the time was new GURPS, revamped everything and made it better, and it was basically the same thing. So, I mean, they tweaked the rules here and there. I'm not putting the rules down at all. And in fact, it's an interesting system now that I'm looking at it again with fresh, experienced eyes. And I'm looking at my third edition book here, which is just one book. I don't know why it got separated into two books. I've never really looked into that, because there's the basic set and then I guess the campaign set, and you need both of them to play. And then there's GURPS Light, which is a broken, like a little mini version of the game. And now I just realized when I was doing my research before the show, just to see what they had out there, there's Ultra Light, which is basically a page, a simple page that you can print out and fold and put it in your pocket and play GURPS on the run. And there's not many rules to it other than the 3d6, and it looks like you pick 5 different attributes or descriptors. I'm not certain. I just saw it before I put this podcast into play, so I'm looking at it right now, and it looks very, 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 very cut down and light. In fact, it might even be perfect for if you're in the car or you're on the plane or something like that, and you want to play a quick solo game. I think this ultralight might scratch the itch of not having to worry about too many rules mechanics and just focus on the story. So it's interesting. I'm gonna actually try to play test a few things with it and see what it comes out to. But you tell me out there, if you have played GURPS, what edition I should focus my attention on. Should I focus on third edition? Should I focus on revised third edition? Or should I focus on fourth? I know fourth is obviously the new one, so most people are probably going to say focus on that one. But not the newest and the brightest is not always the best. So that's why I'm kind of leaving it up there. I have, again, the 3E book, don't have revised, and I also have the fourth edition book on my shelf as well. So either one of those is fine with me. Right now, I'm going to focus on ultralight and then probably look at the light rules and see what those have to do and how those play out, and then transition to what people suggest as far as GURPS edition wise. I like the layout of third. It is very old school feeling, which was 1988 here. I like the little side panels that it has in the book with like little information. It's kind of weird. I've never seen a book like do it like this. It's just like the middle page has the information about what you're reading, and then there's this like side panel that goes down the side of the page that just gives you like interesting statistics or information that you might need. And I don't think I've really ever seen other books do it like this. Like usually they outline a box or something, but this is just like boom, column of information. I like that. And it's related to what's on the main page most of the time, looking through it just briefly. But you could play anything you want with GURPS. There's no classes, there's no levels. The only thing that this basically that GURPS is saying is you could do your imagination is your limit when playing GURPS. And obviously, when this book was made, all the rage was Dungeons and Dragons, so a lot of it does focus on fantasy, but there's plenty of stuff in there if you keep reading about doing sci-fi or modern day games, which I like as well. I like a little mix. Like that was one of the main reasons that Palladium always drew to me, was the fact that Palladium has so many different genres and it's all the same rule set, though the rules are edited very poorly at some places uh, and left out in various other places. I like the fact that if I wanted to play modern day, I could just pick up a modern day type book. Or if I wanted to play post apocalyptic, I could play Rifts. But if I want to play fantasy, I'll just pick up fantasy. So it had everything I needed. I like a megaversal, or they call it the megaversal system. I like a universal system, and GURPS has been sitting here the entire time as I was, as I'm getting older and playing more and more games, and I always like universal systems like Cortex Classic. It covers a whole bunch of different genres that I could play very easily, and it hasn't even a core book. That's just the classic system itself. And I could make up any game I want. I like that. And GURPS is just never. Every time I've ever brought it up to people, it's always like, "Oh, GURPS, it's so difficult. GURPS sucks. Losers play GURPS." Yeah, I've heard these things before. So I just wanted to talk about it today. When after having a conversation with Tom about it, and yes, Tom, you get mentioned many times today, so you can say, "Yay, mentioned." No, it actually sparked a really interesting conversation about GURPS and what the you can do with the simple rule set. And I was talking to him, I was saying how I like Cortex and how it's universal, or I like Unisystem, how I can use like Army of Darkness or Angel or Buffy and make my own game as well, because the GURPS cinematic universe, GURPS, the cinematic Unisystem is universal, how it works in all the books, and it's a great system. So it quickly moved up to become one of my favorite systems. I think, I don't know. Overall, I used to be just AD&D was my favorite system in the whole wide world. And then as I was getting older and playing different games, it started to slowly evolve into other things. And like D20 was at one point my favorite game, but then I kind of got bored of that. And then when it became Palladium again, one of my favorite systems, now it's just kind of shifting again as I play other games by myself in solo role playing. Cortex Unisystem was up there as number one, which is surprising because I was always a D20 person my entire life, playing games. I like other systems, but it always defaulted back to that D20 AD&D or D&D system. And then games like GURPS just didn't go on the radar. And now that I have all these books and have some time to play games solo on weekends when I'm not playing my normal games with my group, I can get to explore these systems, and they don't have to sit on my shelf dusting away anymore. So I don't know. I look forward to diving through whatever GURPS edition people suggest. And if nobody suggests anything and they're just listening to this and they're like, "Oh, cool GURPS," then I'll just pick my own system. I'll pick probably third because it's the only system I ever played and the only one I really know. I know there was a book called GURPS for Dummies that actually broke it down and spelled it out for you. I remember seeing that book in the store and kind of giggling about it, because why do we need a dummies book? But I guess GURPS does need a dummies book some point. I don't know. So yeah, fourth edition came out. When did fourth edition come out? In 2004. Yeah, I don't know. Tell me what you think in the comments below about GURPS on YouTube. If you're listening to this on YouTube, which most people do, we do have a poll up right now. Speaking of things, and the poll is asking what you'd like to see on the channel going forward. And let me just pull up that poll for you, and I'll read it, and you guys can go over there and vote. So the question is, we have a question for everybody. What would you like to see more of on this channel? If there's something else, please let us know. So if there's anything specific you'd like to know or listen to, let me know. We got 18 votes so far, and it's only been up for a couple hours. And the options are video gaming, tell us what type of games you'd like to see. Role playing, tell us what type of games you'd like to see. Reviews, what would you like us to review? Guides, go in depth about games and teaching something new. And then just podcasts, just talk about nerdy and geeking gaming stuff. So far, the poll has 18 votes, 17 likes. Hey, person who voted didn't like it. No, I'm kidding. Don't forget to like it too. And comment. Let me know what you think too. So far in the lead with 67% of the 18 votes, we have podcasts just talk about nerdy and geeky stuff. So apparently most of the audience just enjoys listening to something that is nerdy and geeky. A couple people have put some comments so far. I got a comment that says some people like to listen to things in the background, so daily podcasts are perfect. Okay, understand. I'm the same way. During work, I'll put a podcast on while I'm working and just listen to someone talk about something geeky. Somebody put all of it. They don't care, just as long as I guess basically something that on the channel that's awesome for them. They'll listen. Another person said they pick reviews only because they like to see comic book reviews. I did it a few times you did it a few times in the past, and it was interesting. And then someone put this could be interesting. They put. I did do a couple comic book reviews when we did some live streams in the past, and we did it on a couple of podcasts, and I didn't know people liked it too much. I guess some people did. I don't know. But head over there, vote, comment as well. Tell me what you want to see. I'd love it. I appreciate it. So I'm going to head out. Keep it original, keep it old school. Good night. God bless. And don't forget, there's no drama, there's no clickbait, only gaming on this channel. Good night, everybody.